Perfect. Welcome, everyone. Good morning. Happy Saturday. This is a bonus session of our fourth annual Turn Your Hobby into a Business series. Today, we are joined by some very special guests from Polaris MEP. I'm going to let them do all the talking about what they do and who they are because they're going to be able to explain it much better than I can. I just want to get a couple of housekeeping items out of the way so everybody's on the same page. If you were able to join us for the first two sessions, you know the drill, okay? We are recording. We are recording because we're going to send a copy of the recording and a copy of the slides to everybody that registered, whether you're here live or not. You're obviously here live, so that's great for you. You're going to get to ask your questions. Love for you to do so in the chat. You'll also be able to kind of raise your hand with the features on Zoom as we go. This is supposed to be a very actually, it is a very interactive session. There's going to be lots of questions thrown at you. It's going to be very, very engaging. I absolutely promise you that. I'm really, really looking forward to it. And today's session is all about maximizing your time and money as an entrepreneur. Polaris MEP focus on manufacturing, right? And you think probably when you hear the word manufacturing, big warehouses and huge machines and, you know, what do you call those flat jack things? What do you call those? Lifts. You know what I mean? That move the pallets from place to place.
Yes, pallet jacks.
There we go. I was so close. Pallet jacks. I got some of the words that went together. That's what most people think of when they think of manufacturing, right? So how does it forklifts? Yeah, great. Thank you, Herman. Um, so how does this fit into turn your hobby into a business? Your hobby is probably not warehousing, right? Manufacturing is making stuff. That's all it is. So maybe you're making jewelry or candles, or you are making um, floral sachets, you are drying flowers, you are making food, maybe you are crocheting items, you are manufacturing. And you need to learn in order to maximize your profits how to manufacture in a way that's going to work for you. So that is what today is all about. I am not the expert on it, so I'm not going to be talking at you this time. Lucky you. However, like I said, the chat is open, so please feel free to use the chat if you have any questions at any time. Put those questions in the chat and we will be getting you answers all throughout. Lastly, if you are interested in using the closed captioning feature to follow along, please feel free. You just hit the little CC button on the top or bottom of your screen and you'll be able to configure that to work for your needs. And if you are more comfortable asking questions in Spanish, please go ahead and do so. There is no need for you to translate into English. We can do that for you, get your answer back to you in Spanish. So please feel free to communicate with us in Spanish if that is how you're more comfortable communicating. All right, that is all the housekeeping out of the way. That's basically the last you're going to hear from me until the very end, unless I have to interrupt Nathan or Ellie with questions as we go, which I very well may do. But that said, I am going to turn the mic over to our friends at Polaris MEP, Nathan and Ellie. Welcome and thank you very much for being here.
Nice. Kristen, thank you so much. Welcome everybody on this wonderful Saturday morning.
Oh.
And yes, like she had mentioned, it is raining out. But if you all would just join us, and I hope you brought your coffees. I hope you brought your water, and I hope you brought something to write on. Hope you have maybe a pen or a pencil or even your phone, and go to the app, whether you're on a Samsung device or an iPhone, and you just look for that notes where it says notes here, and just pull up those notes and just start interacting. And I am honored to be here, and I'm going to get us kicked off. So some of you might be surprised because the slide introduction says introduction to lean standards and flow. But you thought you were coming to something for scaling up your business, right? So lean is really about all of that. Lean is going to be that tool. This is a tool, that tool that will actually scale your process up. So lean is about setting it up the most efficient. And I don't know about you all, but I want to get you guys some time back. I want to get some of my time back. So lean is how you make sure that you're putting your time, your energy, your resources into the things that you need to be doing when you need to be doing it, as your hobby is transforming or going from a caterpillar to a butterfly. So let's look at this. If I can advance my screen, I'll be happy. If I can't, I'll still be happy. So I'm going to hand this over to Ellie, and she's going to talk to us for a bit.
Okay. Hi, Dito. Thank you. So starting in 2017, Nathan has been working with Rhode Island manufacturers in many different industries, sectors, producing sellable products. Since 2018, Nathan has helped maximize Rhode Islanders' business to increase their efficiencies and bring joy back into their businesses. He has helped dozens of smaller makers develop new processes for new product development, streamlining their process and see it through to production. So
And thank you, Ellie. That was very fancy. I get to do a lot of big words. So I'm going to introduce my colleague and my friend Ellie, who's wearing a fancy scarf in this picture. So Ellie, she actually joined Polaris MEP in January of this year. Prior to joining our team at Polaris of Manufacturing Advisors, Ellie worked at Matrion Corporation in Lincoln, Rhode Island, as a production analyst, which means she focused on streamlining production procedures through looking at the company's data. So now that she's a part of our team, Ellie's going to be focusing on employee skills development through continuous improvement. So I really am so glad that Ellie's on our team and she's with us, and she's so beneficial into a lot of the things that I do, is because we need data. So we'll get into that later. However, now it's time to talk to some of you. So if you all could just unmute, or Kristen and Gabby and Ellie are all looking. If you feel free to do it in the chat, unmute. We don't mind. We just want to hear from you. So if you could tell us what some of you are making, I'm so interested on hearing exactly what Kristen kicked it off with. Is it fashion? Is it jewelry? Is it home decor? Wreaths?
Nathan,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. So Haiti put in the chat that he or she made flatbeds. Can we hear a little more about that?
I think that was from when I was trying to figure out what
Yes.
a pallet jack is called, but I know we have Sandra who makes t-shirts, and
Okay, cool.
no problem. And I did make it so anyone can unmute as well, so please feel free to unmute and pipe up. What are we making? I know what some of you are making, but I don't want to give it away.
Hello, I'm making chunky blankets, baby blankets for newborns, for baby baskets, newborn baby baskets. Hello?
Yes, that's perfect. Thank you so much. We have other things. Yeah, other things in the chat too. We have a music producer, someone who makes baby onesies and toddler t-shirts, I'm sure with cute sayings on it. Who doesn't love that? A cleaning service. We have someone who makes jewelry, crocheted items, toys, blankets, clothes, so fabric items, crocheted items, jewelry. Instruments from gourds. Very cool.
I like it.
Very cool. Electronic repair, training bird dogs. I love the variety here is amazing. Keep it coming. Husband and wife team making t-shirts and home wall decor. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you.
Photographers in the group.
Oh, this is awesome.
And the best thing is everyone still is going to be able to get things out of this, right? Maybe.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Kristen. That's why I guess I'm most excited, is because this way of doing, and we're going to get into that, is not only for making a product, but it's actually for service as well. So this has been happening in the medical field. Hospitals all over the world use this at any time. And so we're going to get into this. And I think it's going to be profitable for everyone who's joined this Zoom, whether they have their camera on, off, whether they're doing the chat. So thank you. That's exactly what I wanted to know. And just to recap quickly, I heard t-shirts, baby blankets, they go in baby baskets, movie production, music producer, toddler t-shirts, cleaning service, fabric, anything using fabrics, jewelry, making instruments out of gourds. Now that's cool. Oh my gosh, electronic repair, training dogs, wall decor, photographers. And before I move to the next slide, do you know what I want to say in most sincerity that I can say today? Do you know that Kristen, Gabby, Nathan, and Ellie, and everyone else on the Zoom right now, we all need you. We need your ideas. We need your businesses. Believe it or not, you have a talent that you've always had as a child. And whether or not someone says it's a late bloomer, or I don't care. And I'm not even going to go into this deeply, but I could tell you about company owners who were well into their 70s and 80s who started their business and then became what I would say famous. But however, it's not about being famous. It is about making things that you love and providing a service or providing parts to people that can actually use your products. And if you're not making it, they're going to have to get it from somewhere. So I just wanted to put that in there. So let's look at defining lean. Let's look at why is Nathan, Ellie, Kristen, and Gabby spending some Saturday morning that's raining wherever we're at, trying to talk to you all in this bonus session, which that's kind of cool, Ellie. We're a part of the bonus section. So I like that. It kind of represents me and you, Ellie, is maybe some whipped cream or some cherry on top or sprinkles of jimmies or whatever you guys want to call them. That's what I'm talking about. So
That's
we look
awesome.
to put the icing on the cake today, right, Ellie? So, all right. So we're going to look at things from different angles now. We must see our craft or our service in a new way. And that way will be through visuality. We're going to have to look at things through how can we see our service or what we're providing through visuality. And we'll get into that a little bit too. So, and understanding why this lean way of doing is so important and what it's about. So if you're writing things down, like I had already said, write them down. If you're not writing things down, write them down. I love this Chinese proverb, and it says the faintest ink is better than the sharpest memory. So you can always go back and say, now, when we discussed this last time, blah, 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 this is blah, 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 blah. That's right. Now, what were we talking about? So again, let's get into defining lean. So defining lean, no matter what industry, what country you're in, it's a very long sentence, and I'd like to break it down in a bite-sized way that we could eat this thing right up. Those of you who are making fabric things, are doing yarns or darning and using darning looms and sock blockers and crocheting and all this, we need to break it down so that we all understand it in a way that we can get it. So it is a long sentence, but let me read it to you. So It's going to be a systematic approach. We're going to approach the problem the same way every time. We would like to identify and eliminate waste. Again, we'll talk about what those waste are. And waste are really non-value added activities. We'll break those down even more. We're going to do it through continuous improvement. Ellie loves doing continuous improvement. But here's how we do continuous improvement. We're going to flow the product at the pull of the customer. When the customer pulls us, orders, whatever, we're going to flow at that rhythm. That's how we know we want to make something. And we will always, always, always do it in pursuit of perfection. So if we follow this systematic approach, if you all are seeing my cursor here, if we follow this systematic approach, those who purchase our goods will really appreciate it. Both you and the recipient of what you are making or providing will absolutely love that you are following this way. So lean is at the pull of the customer. And again, you guys will both benefit from this. So we have some objectives, right? So today we must meet some objectives. So what are the lean manufacturing objectives? So Brian, you asked such a great question. That was very good. You did as well, Gene. Gene, thank you for asking that question. So how do we do these objectives? So when I was much younger, I won't tell you when, I won't tell you how old I was or how old I am now. So that's kind of cool and mysterious. But listen, I really thought when I began to learn these lean objectives, what I thought is that I could provide a number of 2 out of 3. I really thought, one, I get it, one's not good. But if I could just get them these 2, I just don't know how to get them 3. Well, depending on the 2 you pick, you might be picking or omitting or leaving out the one that they were most interested in. So if you picked the lowest practical cost and the best customer service, they might buy your stuff and later on it breaks. And that's not good, right? So, or everyone listening at the sound of my voice, you go and you get the best quality, ingredients, or the best app, the most expensive app, and you're paying for it by month or whatever. And you give them the best customer service. I am going to tell you right now, you will not be at the lowest practical cost, I'm telling you, because you're giving them the best that you got. And you all, I can appreciate everyone on this call because I fell into this same thing. I want to have the highest chicken feed. I do. I really do. And my daughters and I, our family, we will talk to those chickens. We will pet them. We're giving them apple cider vinegar. We're doing everything that we can for them, but we can't charge them $2 a dozen. We can't, because the feed alone, the upkeep on those chickens, to do the math, we're somewhere between $5 and $8 just to provide the highest possible quality, the best customer service, and at that breaking point, that's where we don't even make a profit or we make a minimal profit. So again, I just want to say, by the way you are as a consumer and want all of these as well, you all want the same things that your customers want, right? Those who are going to be buying or utilizing your service. So again, any combination of these 2 will fall short. We must provide all 3 at the same time. So I love this river. Actually, we probably have some really good creeks going on right now, or some streams. There's really 2 key ways to go from a hobbyist to a business. to go from an entrepreneur to a business. So you got to make money. So if you all will look at this river, could you, like, in the chat or yell out, what does this river look like? What kind of shape does it look like? Yell it out or put it in the chat. And I will provide the music. Na, 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 na.
So,
What do we got, Ellie?
DMB is saying a snake.
Whoa, nice.
Number T.
Thank you. Thank you, Ellie. A snake. If this was like a letter, what does it look like? What? Yes, a snake.
An octopus tentacle.
Wow, yes. That was a good one. If we were to use letters, like RESPECT, does it look like a U? Does it look like an S? Like anyone? Does this look like a straight line? Does it look like from point A to B? Does it look like that? I would say a resounding heck no. And guess what? Guess what? Water, what you all could, after we get off the call today, you could look in the street. You could look in drainage areas. You can look at, oh my gosh, in a field. Water is going to go to the path of least resistance. So it literally will just, it'll go wherever that soil was a little loose. Oh, I'm going there. Because I'm not going up against that tree. I'm not going up against those rocks because the rock's like, hey, I ain't moving, right? So the water's like, oh, okay, I'm just going to go around you. And the rock's like, yeah, that's right. But guess what? Guess what, everyone? So your process, your service, your materials, all those things, those are also your process. If you don't get a handle on it, it's going to flow along this path of the least resistance. And anyone in here that's cut a piece of metal and left it alone or left it outside will know that it rust. Anyone knows that if you cut a piece of an apple or whatever, and you don't put whatever on it, salt or cinnamon or sugar, whatever, it's going to start to turn red or orange or what have you. And so that's the same for manufacturing or making our processes. So it's the same with relationships. Wow, I just went there. It's the same with designs. If we don't proactively work on those relationships, on our designs, with our customers, with our processes, then they're also going to flow along this simple, this just meandering path. And unfortunately, most of your time and effort will be saying, hey, get back straight. Get back straight. And now how did that do that, right? So standards and flow always help entrepreneurs do that. So let's look at what a definition of a standard is. And Kristen knows, she smiles a lot at me and probably laughs. She's like, my gosh, this guy should have been a comedian and not someone in manufacturing. But if you're writing this down, write it down. If you're not writing it down, thank you for writing it down. So a definition of a standard really has to have 3 key points here. Has to have 3 elements, not key points, 3 elements. So a standard must have a what. Anything that's a what. And I really appreciate all of the ideas that Ellie and Kristen yelled out to us, and that it sounded like even with photography and so many of the really cool things that you all have a natural talent to do, and now you're taking it to the next level. You really need to understand that when you're going to provide this service or provide this product, that you must write down what are the steps that would advance the work. You need to write down the steps that will advance the work. So that's the what. There might be 5 of those. There might be 8 of those. there might be 10 of those. But for a rule of thumb, just be thinking about doing it in segments of 10. And someone would say, oh my gosh, I could write down 20 of those. And I would say, just let's slow down a bit. Why I said there's 8 to 10 of those is once you get more than 10, you're probably talking about a next process or how you followed on up to that next thing. So again, we're looking for about 5, 8, 10 of what you do that would advance the work. It's anything that would advance the work. Now, secondly, we're looking at the how, because you're going to be helping yourself. You might be passing it along to yourself, or maybe a daughter, a son. I heard a husband and wife team. Hey, go dynamic duo, right? So what we're trying to do is, if you know that it takes these 5 to 8 or 10 steps, then once you do those, it should be in a very specific area. So now, when you're going to be talking to your partner, so on and so forth, or to yourself, you must have the next element of a standard, and that's the how. So the how is anything that will make or break the job. I'm going to say that again. It will make or break the job. So let me just a very quick example. Turn on camera. That advances the work. But how do you do that? Ooh, left to right. And remove the lens cap. If you don't remove the lens cap, I don't care how many pictures you took, that will make or break the job, right? So we have got to understand, when there's just us or many more people, we have to have these standards and these 3 elements of a standard. 1, the what, anything that advances the work, 5, 8, or 10. Then the how. It's going to be anything that will make or break that job. You didn't add water to the flour. You can't do that, right? So it's going to make or break the job. It'll be easier to do. Oh my gosh. Anybody have any kids around them? Hey, how do I send that to my notes? How do I do that? And they're basically telling you the how, the key point, because it's going to make or break, or it's easier to do. No, you hold the space bar when you're in texting, and you can move that like line around like it's a cursor. Oh my gosh, I didn't know how to do that, right? So that is a how. It's going to be easier to do. It will make or break the job, or this is a big one, prevent injury to the worker, to you. Prevent injury to someone else, right? Okay. So now this is the last one. And the reason why I said with the how is that by doing that thing that I just said, easier to do, make or break. I apologize. I'm not ready to go to the third point. If you're making a drink, you shake it 3 times. You shake it 3 times. That's going to make or break the job, or easier to do. If you shake it 4 times, guess what? The customer doesn't see the chocolate sauce now. Now it's been over mixed, right? But if you went like this, you didn't quite mix it enough to get that sugar up there, right? So they'll know. No, every time I get this, it tastes like this. That's because someone did that how. They made it the same way every time. They weighed it, they timed it, they measured it. That's what we're asking you to do. And then last but not least, that third element of a standard is the reason why you do it that way. And I just kind of gave an example of that. So anytime you're working with someone else or with your person, you're going to have 3 elements of a standard. They must have the steps, which is anything that advances the work. It must have the how, which is it will make it or break the job. It will be easier to do, prevent injury to the worker. And then last but not least, it'll be the reason why you shake it those 3 times. So write this down. This is sort of a key point. A reason why for the how never explains the what. A reason why always explains the how. So if you twist something 3 times, you do that so it's not over tightened. I want to be very clear. When you do the why, it's always going to explain the how. It will make it or break it. It'll be easier to do. Who doesn't like those life hacks? So the reasons why are the life hacks of the how. And then let's sort of, no, I always have something that I like to say here. So I say this all the time. Ellie kind of laughs at me. A bad process will beat a good person every time, but the right process will always produce the right results. So why do we stabilize a process? So, man, you all are asking, Sarah, I see you in the kitchen. You all are asking such good questions, Sarah, and you have your camera on and all that. So when we go from a hobby to a business, it really does necessitate. I apologize. I don't. It really creates a need to do things the same way every time. And so before, when you only made a few products at a time, it was okay to do it differently each time. So it gets interesting as Ellie and I are working with a company that sometimes they would make 18 of these things. And sometimes they would make 12. And sometimes they would make 6. So each time you go to provide a service or make that product, I'm really asking you to think about doing it the same way every time. So sometimes, but not anymore. Sometimes in the past, you could kind of just like go and tap into your artistic persona, right? So you're like, oh, I see the daffodils blooming, right? And I'm going to take pictures of those, right? Well, today you might want to take some rainy pictures of those, right? But most of the time than not, it's not really what you do. But I will tell you, when it's raining and you're taking pictures, you might have to do a different process than when it's sunny to cover those things of your camera and get better lighting and so on and so forth. So, however, what happens is now, I don't know about you all, I don't know the age group that is represented, but I'll tell you this. It is time now we get to date our process, right? And I don't know about you guys, but when you date somebody, you're going to do some things that you typically didn't like to do, right? I'm so tired. I just want to sit on the couch and watch my show or go through my YouTube videos, but not anymore because they wanted to go out to eat. Oh, I'm really tight on money, but I love this person so much. I'm willing to tap into whatever I'm tapping into, and I want to spend time with them. Well, guess what? Now it's your time. Instead of doing what you used to do, now you're going to go from hobby to business owner. And now you're going to be dating and saying, you know what? I really didn't measure those things. I really didn't time myself, how long it typically takes for me to do that. You know what? I didn't really think about what is it that I'm looking for in doing things before I actually sit down to do what I love. Oh, so now we're going to talk about setup. Now we're talking about kidding. Now we're talking about making that list before you go to the grocery store. Don't be walking up in that grocery store without your list, because I'm telling you, you're going to get some stuff in that cart that you never planned on getting, right? Come on, guys. You know what I'm talking about. So That's what I mean by dating that process. So let's stabilize first, sort of write things down. You guys are like, oh my gosh, he's preparing me for after this session. That's exactly what I'm saying. That's why I said, write things down, write them down. And I might say something later on and Ellie might say, hey, write that down. Nathan told you to write that down, right? What's in that tote right now? I don't know. I'll have to open it up. You could have wrote that down and put it on a Post-it note, put it to the outside of that tote, right? So do you guys see what I'm saying by that's how we stabilize? So stabilize, then standard, based on what was measured, and now it's repeatable, and then lock in that process to improve it. You don't keep all those different things in the same tote. Maybe you get some smaller ones and only keep certain tools in those certain totes and different things like that. And by the way, get some see-through totes, right? Go to the Dollar Tree or go to the Dollar General or something like that. And they're not giving me an endorsement. If they were, I might ask them to make me some, endorse me for some ice cream, but whatever. That's a side note. So then start doing that process again and do it the same way again. So let's talk about flows. All work. If you guys can write this down, and again, if you want to ask me or in the chat later, we'll give these to you. But again, this is something that took me a long time to remember. And I'm always asking companies, whether they're small, medium, or large, or whether I'm in some other state where I've done some other things for other companies in other states. So all work is highly specific. Work could be a service. Work could be a product. Work could be many different types of things. But I just want to say that all work is highly specific in its content, in its sequence, in its timing, and in its expected outcome. And I'll say that again. I'll slow it down so that those of you who are writing and are getting this, all work is highly specific in its content, in its sequence, in its timing, and in its expected outcome. I am going to make a musical instrument out of a gourd. What content? What specific musical instrument? And with this size gourd and this particular instrument, I must do this sequence. And it should take me about this amount of time. And when I do this sequence for that specific content, I will do it within 1 hour. And when it takes me about an hour, I will have a good instrument. Now, let me say one more thing, write it down, and then we'll jump in, and I'm going to give Ellie a chance to speak on the next slide here. So, all work, or let's say this, all information, all product, or all service should flow along a simple, specified path. All work should flow along a simple, specified path. Not like an octopus tentacle, like Ellie said. Not like a snake. No, not like a U. Not like an S. It should flow along a simple, specified path.
So, Nathan, can I add something before we move on, please? So, one thing about standardization and flows is that not only helps you with the quality, it also helps with the cost of the ingredients that you're making for your product. So in the consumer's world, right, when we're buying products, we expect certain quality. And the better the quality of your product, the more buyers you're going to gain, right? So standardization and flow help you with that aspect of your production
Yes.
cost.
Yes,
Mhm.
that's right. Ellie, thank you.
Thank you.
And if you all see on this screen here that it goes A, B, C, D, right? You see that? A, B, C, D, E, and it just flows along that way. Where sometimes we're asking you all that no matter what happens, that make sure instead of it going here and then, oh, it could go there, it could go here, really try to simplify, stabilize, and standardize that it's gonna be this way. So, and also, you know what, I'd heard some really good things from the chat and Kristen saying, and before I hand it over to Ellie, just be thinking about sometimes, you know, I'm gonna ask you, wow, this one's for free. If you make 4 products or 3 products, or say even 2, which one, let's be looking about that it's the easiest one to make. And I'm going to say, highlight that. Which one of those products would make you the most profit? Highlight that. And start to begin the narrative. That's the one you want to talk about. That's the one you talk about. There will be a lot of companies that I work with. I've got 7 products. So when's the last time you sold those 2 over there? That's a great question. I'll have to look into my database, right? But you know what? I never thought those customers were ever going to buy that. But you know what's strange? They always buy that thing. Hey, listen to what they're saying because they're the ones that's buying from you, right? So at this point, I am going to hand this over to Ellie, and Ellie's going to talk about this next slide here about, if I can get it to advance here. Hello. Yes. Ellie, take it away. Ellie, you might be on mute.
And I don't think the slide advanced though, Nathan.
Oh, yes. Yes. So, yes. So this was talking about really trying to understand, let it go this way. And now this one, oh, that was tricky.
It was tricky. You fooled me.
Here we go. And Ellie, this is what you were talking about. So just
Yes.
elaborate.
Okay. Sorry. So the flows, the key point of flows is simplicity, right? The simpler your process is, the more standardized it becomes. Okay. So can anyone tell me how many handles they have in their process, how many times the product moves from one person to another as it's being created, or how many tables or workstation does it even move from one workstation to another? Can you guys please write those stats in the chat? Am I still on mute? No.
Oh no, Ellie, you did a great.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So everyone, exactly. We'd love to hear this. So write it in the chat, or like Kristen said, it's a Saturday morning and it's raining. Jump out, unmute, and go for it. Tell us. So you did something here, you put it on that table, and then you went to that table or workstation and you brought it back.
Yeah, my process is I have to research, first of all, what textures that I want to work with when making the baby blankets. Do I want to use chunky yarn? Do I want to use jumbo yarn? Do I want to use cotton? Do I want to use wool? Then I figure out which one I want to use. Then I figure out the patterns that I want to use. Then after that, I go and buy my supplies. And then I start creating. So that's 4 actually.
What? Who was talking just then?
Lashella.
Lashella, Lashella, you just made my day. Oh wow. And please, while I'm talking to Lashella, would some of you all do in the chat and get ready? I'm actually giving you guys a chance to jump out like Lashella so that when I'm finishing talking, you do like Lashella and jump right in. So Lashella, you had said that there's different types of yarns. Is that correct?
Correct.
Well, what I think is so cool is that not only that you're researching, say you even purchased those types of yarns and you kept them maybe in different totes and gave them some of your coolest colors. Some of your coolest colors. Now watch this, Kristen. Not only did Lashella buy some certain amount, like the minimum amount of those each different products, now on the front of that tote, she knew some certain designs. They just kind of go like steamed milk with coffee, right? So she's going to put those prints or those patterns maybe in front of that tote, maybe on top of it. And she goes, no, wait a minute. I already did the research.
Right.
You know what? Now I'm starting to subgroup and subset when I use that. Typically, I like this, and typically it's going to make this. And now, Lachella, you're already doing a stabilizing and a standardizing process, and I love it. And I thank you for sharing. That was awesome.
Oh,
So-
you're welcome.
Nathan, we have a comment
Oh,
from
let's hear it.
Steven. It says, it depends on which product. For shirts, it's about 5 steps. For the wall decor, it takes up to 8 to 10 steps or stations.
Oh, okay. All right. Wow. So, Stephen, again, thank you for that. Lachella and Stephen, if I could give you all cheers, I would do that. So imagine I just did that. So, Stephen, I really do appreciate it that you have shirts and then you have the wall decor. And so there will be at times that, again, as moving from a hobbyist into a business owner, we're trying to understand. However, when it comes to shirts, it would really be nice to start to date it that, yes, you're going to start I apologize for these words. Organized. There we go. You're going to separate. There we go. You can, in your mind's eye and with a physical space, start to separate the workstations. So again, I just told Lachella, we're going to have fun with this. Anything that's associated with shirts, give it one of your favorite colors, Stephen. Anything that's involved with wall decor, give it a favorite color and start to understand. If shirts is 5 steps, that workstation should be smaller than a workstation that's wall decor that has 8 to 10 steps. And right now it might be 8 to 10 steps. But there may be times where at the end of this step, you can roll right into the next process. So with that, any other comments? Any other boldness like Lachella? Because this is great. We need you all your interaction today, please.
My name is Dave Martin. I own Beaver Tail Rod and Reel. It kind of started as a hobby, which morphed into this small business. Now 3 employees within the 8 years we've been in business. We're more of a service business where we service area fishermen with fishing reels and fishing rods, repairing them.
Yes.
And my background as a tool and die maker has brought me to this business where attention to detail and whatnot is key to the whole process.
Yes.
I tried to set myself away from other area businesses that are doing this, which unfortunately for me, I'm the only one around in Rhode Island from what I'm hearing. But I also manufacture little parts or custom parts for fishing reels for guys all over the country. And in its infancy, one of my thoughts was, how do I get products out to guys, and how do I find out what guys or fishermen, fisher ladies want to use or want for their equipment? So I started what I call the field testers program. Okay, so basically I have people reach out to me, via social media, however, Instagram, whatever it is, and kind of just, talk to me about what they would like to see and what they would like for their personal equipment. And basically what that entails is that we have a little machine shop with a little CNC machine, 3-axis, 4-axis machine. I know CAD and CAM and all that good stuff to program it. So, for instance, a guy wanted a custom rail handle, something that nobody had. So he contacted me. We actually made one. I sent it down to Pennsylvania, and he had this cool story where he took it down to Florida. He was fishing, and everybody wanted to know where that handle came from. And he told them. And after that, I ended up with like over 100 orders on that handle. And it was just stuff like that there where guys would see what other people have. Now the field testers program, the understanding is that I would manufacture the handle for the actual original person that had the idea,
Yes.
and basically hand it off to them, and it was free of charge, with the understanding that if it got a lot of responses, a lot of positive responses and negative responses, I'm open to both, obviously. But if positive responses, I was allowed to kind of market it myself, and I have, and that's worked a lot. And I've done that with quite a few products, and that may be something that some of the participants here could use in their products. I'm sure everybody's got a wide array of products here, so that's just a thought that I had. So
I love that, David, and what you just explained to everyone listening, and you and Lachella and Stephen, that was excellent. And I know there's many others of you, but what I heard, everyone listening to the sound of my voice, was that David had a handrail. There was a specific sequence that he had to do within, oh my gosh, his machinery. And then there was a certain timing based on the program. In CAM, maybe he's using Mazatrol, whatever, it doesn't matter. But whatever he was doing, that with that timing, he would have an expected outcome, and he could do that same process over and over and over again and have the same handrail. So, wow. Yeah, like Heidi said, great job. I love that. And also, like, there's all these other programs that there's a CCRI. You could go into what they call the Goldman and Sachs 10,000 small businesses, for those of you who are already making product and want to go deeper and different things like that. But with that being said, I just want to say, Ellie, honestly, thank you, Ellie. That was absolutely wonderful. And David, thank you for sharing. Stephen, and everyone else. And so now we get into the 8 waste. Look at this. So again, if I can advance it. So the 8 waste are really going to be things that are happening through those transitions. So every process, and David has it, and now he's going to be like, oh man, I'm going to go back and look at this now. So every process has these wastes, and we must be relentless to look for these 8 categories and figure out how to look for them in a systematic way. But first, we must identify what is a value-added process versus something that's non-value added. So, this is really trying to get me today, and it's kind of funny. So let's take, for example, pizza and boxes, or coffee and lids. So value added is typically a verb: brushing, baking, painting, scraping, clipping, cutting, punching holes, invoicing, moving without adding value, redundant checking, redundant inspecting, counting, multiple counting, and any examples from you all. Do you have an example? Put that in the chat where you checked it 5 times, you checked it, you wrote this, you did this. That has to stop. It should be one time. Once you touch this, it is ready now for the next process. So let's think about this. So what is waste? So waste is anything other than the minimum amount of equipment, materials, parts, space, and workers' time, which are absolutely essential to add value to the product. So I'm being silly I'm being silly, but I'm not. I want to be so silly with you guys today, but I will pull out one pair of socks. I'm not going to pull out 2 or 3 pair of socks. I'm going to pull out one pair of socks to then put those on to put my shoes on, if that makes sense. So I'm not going to pull out 2 or 3 pair of shoes unless I'm trying to select what the event is, that I'm going to. But once I have made that selection, I will put those other 2 pairs away. And now those are my socks. These are my shoes. That's what I mean by you don't need a 6-foot table when you're working on something that only takes 2 square feet. And that is the only amount. I'm not going to spend 5 hours on something that I should only be spending 1 hour on. So in this picture, we could say, is the table too big? Are you using more space than needed? Well, if there are 4 people that always work at the table, that may be fine. But if it's only 4 people working at this table in this picture once a week, that is not fine. It is not okay. So I'm going to hand this next one away to my friend and colleague, Ellie. And there will be a quiz for this. Ellie, take this thing away.
Okay. So these are the 8 remembering the 8 ways, which it in a way, an easier way to remember is downtime for it. So you probably have many of these ways in your process, but you don't recall them as motion waste or as waiting and waste. So what language you probably use is something like, I need it earlier, I need it done faster, I need more made in the same amount of time, I can't be waiting for information or material or both. I feel like my talent is being wasted because I don't have anyone else trained on the simpler steps. We're always moving the parts in and out of the closet or guest room. My helper is always moving around looking for tools and stuff, not in the right place, stuff like that.
Thank you, Ellie. That's perfect. And just like Ellie said, this says downtime. And so I know that that David gave a wonderful example, but just be thinking about this. We want to really, 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 really be careful that David does not sit there and watch the machine cut. We don't want to be waiting. So let's look at in most companies, we, 2 thumbs back at me, we're only doing 5% value add and only 95% non-value add. So most of the things that you all are doing is right here. And I don't want to discourage you. Ellie and I want you to move from the red to the green, baby. We want you to move from the red to the green. So we want to eliminate all of these categories of waste. Here's examples. Rework. Oh, if you reworked it, it means you didn't do it right. Oh, if the client wanted 100 and you made 150, well, what are you going to do with the other 50? If you're waiting for products to dry, what can you do while you're waiting on the glue to dry? It takes, Nathan, 1 hour for the glue to dry. Who said that? Who said that? Then buy a different glue or put it in an oven. Do something. Uh-oh, Ellie, I'm going to say it again. Date the process. If your gluing time takes this, then find out a different glue or find out how you can accelerate, how you can get it dried it faster. But you know what I'm saying? So again, let's look about this. Machine breakdowns. Why did the machine break down? Did you not think about it before then? Moving products. So why would I have what Lachella said, all this different material, and I'm moving it around when I should only be using this one type of material, and that's what I'm going to move around, or that's the only type of material I'm going to put on the table at this time. Counting products. And you would say, Nathan, you're crazy. How do I not count products? I'll tell you how. Because every time you count, you put whatever you counted on that tray. And guess what? If it's 10 on a tray and you have 5 trays, how many do you have? You got 50. So that's what we're talking about, stabilizing and standardizing. Then you come up with these cool, remember what I said, the whats, the hows, and the whys, to now you don't have to count maybe 4 times. Now you're only counting 1 time. You can dry 5 things at a time, or you're drying 10 things at a time. And while those 10 things are drying, you're going to do 10 more of this. You're going to do 20 of those compared to the 10 of the drying, so that when the 10 of the dry, now you can do 10, and you sort of balance this thing out. And we don't want to look for any tools. Please stop looking for tools. Ellie and I can totally help you with that. Why do we focus on the waste? Lachella, you keep asking these questions, and thank you so much for, you ask such good questions. So waste is a symptom that time is trapped in your process. And time's like, you trapped me, stop trapping me, right? So if you do things, I'm asking you, clean as you go. You don't spread all your stuff out on the table and you used this knife or this scissor. Once you're finished with the scissor, put it back in the drawer, put it back in the tote, put it back on the desk. Clean as you go, because once you have finished that process, you are now free to move to the next process, and you don't have to go back to the table and clean up and move all that stuff. It's a waste of your time. Stop wasting your time and clean, sanitize, or put tools up as you go. When you do that, there's underlying waste that's a systematic flaw, and it will affect you. I put it in bold. If you don't clean as you go, the next time you touch that stuff and it was bad, you might use something that you knew was bad the last time you did the process. But now, because you didn't clean as you go, you now have put it into your new process, and you just created a defect. Does that make sense? So please don't do that. So defects, again, these are just examples. Now you have smaller, you're a smaller maker, so you probably don't have to deal with a machine, but David did. Someone had to do. There's also very, very small companies that you might use something with a punch hole. You might use something that is a machine that you have to do. So, but when you use that machine, you might not know when the toner was changed. And unfortunately, when you needed to use that, that's when you realize I have to change the ink out. So again, you guys probably are using something with the machine, but you're not thinking of it in that way. But you probably are using something manually. Go ahead, Ellie.
So I just want to add that one of the biggest costs, especially as you're starting out and growing, is machine maintenance. Okay, because it does, like Nathan was saying, it does tie up a lot of time if the machine breaks down. But if you are proactive and start maintaining the machine, doing the maintenance when it's supposed to be, making sure the machine, everything is in order with those machine, then it won't affect your time and your delivery of products as much as it would if the machine totally breaks down. That's
right.
one of the biggest things that we find and when we go visit clients.
Yes. Thank you, Ellie. And look at this one. You make something more than is required, right? You're making something more. So you might find that you're finding it hard to balance this hobby with your full-time job. David brought this up. So when you have a free moment, you make and stockpile too many items in one step. And that messes up the scheduling of the next step in the production process. So just be thinking about that. Now think about this waiting. So who thinks they know what upstream quality problems are and why that's a problem for hobbyists looking to make this a full-time business? Please put your guesses into the chat. Ellie, check out the chat. Let's see what they say.
Okay, I'm looking. I'm waiting for comments.
Oh, yeah.
Or they can just speak it out if they feel comfortable.
I have a question. Are you saying like what are some waiting, like sometimes like this last time for Christmas, I was making scarves. I was crocheting scarves and hats with the little soft fuzzy balls on top of them.
Yes.
And Hobby Lobby discontinued this particular yarn. And I was halfway in between the last gift for one of the kids in my family. And I was stuck and I could not get that yarn. I only needed maybe like 3 or 4 yards. That's it. And everyone was completely out of it. So now I have a scarf over there that is just looking like, yeah. Are you talking about like that?
Yeah, that could be, yes, that could also be Lachella. That could be a waiting thing. And what happens is it will mess with your brain. So it sounds so crazy.
Yes.
But if you come to that point, you're going to make, and Lachella, welcome to the business club. And so you're going to make one of these choices: trash, cash, or recycle. You're literally going to say, you know what? That was December. You know what? This is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to do whatever it takes to make this one go into something that I can gift, I can recycle it, I can throw it away, or I can recycle it in some other way. There are so many farmers, Lachella, that say, you know what, Nathan? I did my very best, and almost to the point of tears, Lachella. I thought I was doing whatever I could. And now I have all these flowers. They're going to die, blah, 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 blah. And do you know what a company did? They said, I'm going to reach out to kids with cancer. And you know what? I'm going to find out if this hospital could use blah, 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 and to cheer them up. So again, that is trash, cash, or recycle. Really, did you have that much money invested? If it's every time you look over and you're like, it does that to you, throw it away. Lachella, throw that thing out of there. Or convert it into something that you can sell, or convert it into something you can gift. And now you don't have to look at it anymore.
Yeah, I think it will.
Does that make any sense what I'm saying?
Yes, because I'm making baby products now.
Exactly.
So maybe I will recycle it and put it into one of the baby baskets.
Oh, and then Lachella, get this. You are freaking me out right now. Hey, Ellie, check this out. Lachella, there will be times where you have scraps or where this happens in the supply chain again, but let people know it's not an inferior product. It actually may be an upcharge that they have gotten something like this, and it might be your artist collection or your blah blah blah. It was the same handcraftedness. It was the same amount of time. It actually might have been more time because you had to match and mate different colors and so on and so forth. But you're presenting another thing. And this will be my last example, because Lucella, I know there are so many people. You are being a brave soldier right now. There are other people that want to chat or do the same thing, but maybe they might be too timid. Maybe they might be thinking about this in Spanish, but I'm giving it to them. Let's think about this. There was a company, and I'm going to say it. You guys might have had it. You are asking what other people might ask. So there is a company, and they were making certain types of things. I won't tell you the name of the company, and their product just was not selling. But they were creating in food some scraps, and they were giving away some of the scraps at these farmers market. And I'm going to tell you something, Lucella. People started asking for the scraps. And guess what is going on right now, Lucella? They have a storefront company. They don't make the products they used to. They make the scraps. And that is their product. That's what I'm trying to talk to you about. Does that make any sense what I'm saying?
Yes, it does.
I just want Ellie and I, we just want to encourage you all. Think about things that might be wasted, that also might be an opportunity for you to have another business, and just be thinking about that. Wow, Lucella, that was awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So before we move forward, we do
yes.
have a couple comments and questions in the chat, if you don't mind.
No, please, Ellie.
Thank you. So Candice is saying that a great efficiency tip is cheap monthly HP print and toner ink program.
Yes.
Where they send you a box before you run out and offers a quick recyclable program for your waste toners later.
That's excellent. I love that.
Yeah. Gabby has a question. It says inconsistent quality in the materials you're purchasing to make your products.
Yes. Oh, did say the name again, Ellie?
Gabby.
Oh, Gabby. So this is something that I guess let's talk about it. Let's briefly talk about it. So you will find this in any hobby, small, medium, large business. It is up to you all to have, I'm going to say something that's a big word, but do not be afraid of it. You should always have an incoming inspection. Always have an incoming inspection. We work with companies all the time. Now that you are a hobbyist, please don't just assume that what you ordered is good. Stop it right now. Stop it. Whatever you receive, if they said you got 8, count them. I got 8. Look at them. Touch them. Turn them. Look at them under light. Please don't take people's word for it, because when you start to make your process, I just said, start to stabilize. The best way to stabilize your company or moving from a hobby to a business is look over all these things. And I can't express this enough. You will have a physical spot in your home or wherever you're at, in your basement, in your outbuilding, whatever it is. In that spot, wherever you receive that, put it over there. You might even have receiving or red. The moment you start to inspect it, put that material right next to where your t-shirts are about to make or your home decor. You want to know why? You brought order, not chaos. Never start the race with your shoes untied. I'm going to say it one more time. Gabby, never start the race with your shoes untied. We don't get to the starting line, and that's when we're checking our shoelaces. No, you should have already checked your shoelaces in that special corner, and that's where you're going to keep that stuff. Don't just receive it and now put it into your process. You have to tie your shoe, now put it in the process, and now we can start our process. So this is what I meant by starting your race. Once you start the process, it's not time to look at your product. You should have known that you had the product you needed in the amount that you needed and that it was all good. And if it takes 8 steps and something's not right in it, you will not pass it along. Stop it right now. You know, put it in some kind of a red box or something and stop it. You thought you were going to have 10 to pass on. You don't have 10. You have 9. And now you're going to make that decision that Lachella made. I have 9. I'm either going to pass those 9 on, or I'm going to make a management decision and convert this one into something good, or now I'm going to throw it out, trash, cash, or recycle, make 1 more, and pass 10 good ones, not 9. Does that make sense? Abby or Gabby, give me a thumbs up, give me a woo woo, or do something. Okay, perfect. Perfect.
Okay, so the next question is from Haiti. Says, preventing a problem before you see one happening?
Thank you so much. So yes, preventing a problem before you see it happening is exactly what Ellie and I try to do all the time. There's a certain lean methodology that we call 5. It's the number 5 and the letter S. We're not going to get into that today. And who asked this question, Ellie?
Haiti.
Oh, I apologize. Haiti. So you are exactly right that when I asked everyone to please write this down, I wasn't asking it to be silly or mean or like a know-it-all. I am not a know-it-all. Believe me, I learn something every day. So when I said that all work is highly specific in its content, sequence, timing, and expected outcome, preventing from moving things on, if it doesn't make sense that this is the content, then stop right there. This is a different service. David brought it up. I think Stephen brought it up. Lachella has brought it up. There was someone else that brought it up. You have to be so specific in what you're saying as your content that you will prevent problems just by noting or writing down what the content is.
Like I didn't note that I needed 110 yards. Instead, I purchased 100 yards, is what you're saying.
Yes, that's right. Yes, because just that little bitty 10 yards cost you a certain amount of money. But
$50.
Exactly. But knowing that 100 yards will equate to X amount of X, now we're starting to get, because if we made 8 of those or 10 of those, Lachella, and you literally go, yeah, that's about right. I put X amount of yards for these baby blankets. I should have about X amount of yards for the next. And what I love, Lachella, I'm not trying to sell one of my clients to you. I'm not trying to. You could go to the Katrinkles website and say, I have a stitch marker, and at that stitch marker, I know that's where I'm starting next, and I should have 10 more yards. Does that make sense what I'm saying, Lachella?
Yes.
I love it. I love it. So,
Okay. So
Casey, that
we
was
do have,
excellent.
sorry, Nathan, but we do have quite a few questions and comments.
Ooh. And
So,
Ellie,
yes.
I'm trying to think. Okay. You know what? Okay, yes, let's you know what? Okay, so because Kristen said that we're going to share the slides on the waist, let me just so the success story, I'm going to answer those questions. I feel that, you know what, with our time, yes, we're going to get to those questions. Everything that Ellie and I have been talking about, we had much success with Chi Kitchen, who started in their kitchen. She was a chef. She then moved to Hope in Maine, a food accelerator, and now has their own place. It's a husband and wife. And I've helped them since 2018, all on the same thing we've been talking about. So I'm going to move through the downtime. Again, we're talking about, if you all would just look at those pictures, and it's looking at things through visuality, knowing where things are, where they should be. 5S, Ellie and I would love to help you with 5S. Once you touch something, you shouldn't be touching it again. Ellie, so while others are looking at the picture, give me another one of those questions.
Sorry, I was muted. So Herman is asking, how about making the organic matter into compost? That's a great idea, I think, personally.
So say that one more time, Ellie.
Herman
Yes.
is asking, how about making the organic matter into compost?
Thank you so much. Herman, am I saying it right? Herman. So Herman, knowing about compost, you know that you have to have nitrogen and carbon. You know that. So trying to understand, when I was saying about dating, you can have very fun things like green, like brown, right? So really trying to understand, if you know you're trying to make compost, you know that you need nitrogen, you know you need carbon, you know you need certain things. Try to understand what should be the content. What should it be? Try to date, trying to understand, well, what should be the sequence? Try to understand how you're going to measure things, how you're going to time things, how you're going to weigh things. What kind of scale are you going to be using? Are you going to get a scale from Aldi? Are you going to get a scale from Restaurant Depot? Are you going to use bags? Can you find bags that are black or brown or green, red or blue? What is it that you want to tell yourself that you get to become a scientist now, and you want to start to really understand? What is it? How long do you think things take to break down? Do you want to do things in the sun? Do you want to do things that are in the dark? How do you want to make this organic compost? And start by certain weights. You want to do 5 pounds of this, or kilos, and you want to do 1 pound or kilo of carbon, and start to do these things and just have fun with the Herman. Does that make sense? Can you give me a thumbs up? Thumbs up, a woot woot. or something like that. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Ellie, are they telling us yes or no?
I right now I have the thing. So yeah, there is a clap.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So Nathan, what I'm hearing that is even if you are doing like you have a little bit of leftover, you should still be measuring and tracking what you have left over so that if it does turn into something else, then you kind of already have that you already know the standard and flow when you start to move into that.
Gabby, I love that. Thank you so much. So yes, so I was sort of preparing you guys in a silly way, but I wasn't. When I said, okay, write this down. And if you're not writing this down, write this down. And the Chinese proverb is the faintest ink is better than the sharpest memory. Exactly what Gabby was saying. And Erman, if you know you made this product or you're doing this, to Gabby's point, you should have about this much waste, which is really cool. What Gabby was saying is then at the end of it, just check and say, you know what, Nathan and Ellie, they were so cool. They were so silly on that Saturday morning. You know what, Gabby, I made this product. And do you know what? Within grams, within ounces, every time I made that product, I had about that much waste. When I make this other product, I have about this much waste. Well, if you know what product, content, sequence, timing, and expected outcome, you actually are now almost making this organic compost out of your other products. And you already know before you made it, you're going to have about this much scrap. And there might be other people on this call or on this Zoom. Maybe they want some of that. Maybe they need that because they're growing plants or flowers. So again, it's always something interesting. Gabby, that was wonderful. And thank you for pulling that out because I'm focused on the slides and focused on the content. So I can't express how much it means to me that Ellie, Gabby, and Kristen are looking at the chat because it's very hard for me to do all four things at the same time. Any other questions at this point?
Well, there's a lot of comments. I haven't gone through them
Wow.
all, but
Ellie, help us out.
yeah, so Marisa is saying, she has a comment, says for artists, you can usually sell one-offs as one of a kind or limited supply to get the random things to sell that might have originally been a mistake.
Yes.
So that's a good idea.
Yes,
too.
thank you so much. So I just want to, Ellie and I just want to forewarn you. We just want to forewarn you that we've been going to a company in Bristol every Tuesday morning. And unfortunately, they have some very high-end products that they do sell. Unfortunately, after so many times, you can get into this what we call in manufacturing overruns, and I have to, only because the comment, because I feel like as a coach I must say this, please, for our sake, just please document your overruns, because unfortunately there are these, I have to say it, I don't want to say anything demeaning, so I'm being very careful. There are people out there, not with us on this call, that are hoping, desiring, and relentlessly looking for your overruns so that they can purchase them and resell them to make a profit for themselves. So please, please, please be very careful in what Gabby was asking me specifically. We don't want you to have overruns. That's why we are saying, if you notice something happens, make another product out of it. But when you go to sell something, have a plan in place. But don't get stuck at the end of the month or 2 months and say, uh-oh, I have all this overrun. I'm just going to sell it for cheap, sell it for cheap. They're looking for you to do that so that you can't make the profit you were wanting. You can't. And now you are at a disadvantage and they have an advantage. So please, I'm saying, I understand the comment. I'm just asking you to relentlessly date and get rid of the downtime waste, because there are sharks that are looking for overruns. Does that make sense? Give me a thumbs up, or I'm being very passionate about this right now, because what do you do? What do you do at the end of 2 months? And we're asking you, please don't have a plan. Don't create a plan to have overruns. Try to do it right the first time. I hope that makes sense.
So Nathan, can you just define what an overrun is real quick?
Okay, so an overrun is not what I was explaining to Lachella. It was not. It is where you made something to your specification that is what you call it, but there was no demand. There was no customer demand for it. None at all. So you made 100 of these. You've now sold 50 or 75. And now there's 25 or 50 that it's in your closet. It's in your basement. What happens now? It wasn't a defect. It wasn't at the end of what Lachelle and I were talking about. It's something that you invested your time, your money into it, your inventory, and now what are you going to do about it? You got to do something. You have to sell it. You're going to have to trash it, sell it, or recycle it. What now? That is an overrun. You made more than what the customer wanted. Does that
So basically you're saying go back to specific and simple. Keep the lean, basically, is what you want to say.
Thank you so much. There are so many companies that say, we have 5 products. Okay, I understand. What is the product you sell of the most? And unfortunately, Lachella and everyone listening, you don't get to pick it. You love making this one thing, but for some reason, the customer always buys this one thing of yours. Then you probably should be thinking about, it should be the number one thing on your website. It should be the number one thing at the farmer's market. It should be the number one thing on your marketing table. It should be the number one thing you take a picture of. Does that make sense? You don't show them all those products because that's what they want. That's what they keep ordering, unless they ask for something else. And then you make less of that. You don't make 4 products and you make 50 of all of those. No, because you're going to have a hard time selling all 4 of those products. Try to understand what the voice of the customer is and make what they want when they want it in the amount that they want.
They want it.
Exactly.
Specific and simple. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And I will not say KISS. I will only say the first S's are the first 3 letters. Keep it simple. I will not say keep it simple in your design. Keep it simple in your marketing. Keep it simple. So that's transportation. We don't want you all doing that.
Okay.
Inventory. Yes.
Nathan, before we move on, we do have a lot of comments. Can we go
Oh.
through them real quick? So Sebastian thinks that this is an excellent idea.
Oh,
Brandon is saying that he cannot see the slides.
oh. He
Mhm.
can.
Brandon's all set. He got back in. He's got
Oh, okay.
Oh,
We're
okay,
good.
cool.
Brandon's golden.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Okay, hold on.
Any other comment? And Sebastian, thank you so much. We appreciate your input. We really do. Actually,
Herman did say that it does make sense.
Yes.
What you were saying.
Oh, okay,
Brandon
perfect.
CMC is back.
Erman, Erman, do you mind if I say this? Everyone listening. So let's think about that inventory. Let's think about the inventory. So you all said that you're moving from a hobbyist to a business. So I know that you all need something. You need some type of something to make something or to create a service. There's some type of an interaction between something that you need from someone else to then make it for your customer, your future customer. So the reason why I was saying stop making 50 or 25 or 18 and make less. I don't think we're going to have time to go into it today. No, we won't. But you can look it up on the internet just as you're dating and thinking of all these things, because we're giving you all a lot of information and you're probably trying to drink water out of a fire hose. And that is extremely hard to do, but you all are doing a very good job. So when you do this batch processing, I'm just trying to forewarn you that when you do batch processing, just be thinking about you have so much raw material and you're going to make, Easter's coming up. You're going to make a meal possibly for 4 people, or you're going to make a meal for 24 people, which is interesting. So you could do it. You won't need as much space. Come with me in your mind's eye visually. Just start to imagine. You have wonderful imaginations. Think about the space right now with me. Come on, come with me. The amount of space, the oven, the tools, the dishes. How much space do you all need right now to do what you got to do to make these dishes for 4 people? I know you're looking at it. I know you're seeing me. Okay. Now let's think about it's 1 person. Let's think about the oven. Think about the tools, the space needed for 24 people. Uh-oh. Can we keep the food warm? How are we going to keep the food warm for those 24 people? Will we need more space? Will we put things in crock pots now? Because with 4 people, maybe all of the food that we made as we cleaned as we go, maybe all those dishes will fit in that oven. I don't know if we can now. Oh, we might have to have a folding table. We might need some warmers. Do you guys see what I'm saying? So what I'm asking you all to do is when you make this product, you're thinking about making it in 4. Because guess what? It sounds almost crazy. But if we do all these mashed potatoes or this massive dish and we forgot the salt, we forgot the garlic, the whole batch is bad. The whole batch is bad. But if we have garlicky mashed potatoes in this amount, we have some lobster mashed potatoes in this amount. We have some chive mashed potatoes and they were smaller, guess what? If the garlic mashed potatoes were bad, guess what? Throw it out. Okay, hey, we got to make another mashed potato, but we're only doing the garlic. We don't have to do the lobster mashed potato. We don't have to do the chives. I hope I'm making more sense. So when we do something in smaller runs, when there is a quality fallout, only those units, only those things were bad. Does that make sense? So that's the inventory issue. So motion,
Can I add?
Oh,
Sorry, Nathan, can I add something to inventory as
Ellie.
well? So with the with the inventory, since you guys we're starting from small, when we have too much inventory, then it causes an investment problem, financial problem as well. That it's best to tie it in with what Nathan was saying. It's best to always do the batch that the customer, always listening to the customer, because it will impact you financially and your return on investment.
yes.
If that makes sense.
Yes. And thank you, Ellie. So when it comes to motion waste, ever take out a plastic box with a specific material, use it on 5 pieces and then put it away, right? Okay, here we go. And then 10 minutes later, you realize you're taking it out again. So that's non-value added motion. So anyone drive a vehicle? Anyone, oh my gosh, have ever seen the inside of a plane? And anyone in a kitchen, what is so interesting is that when you're in your vehicle, that you have the capability of rolling down the right rear window. You have the capability of turning on music. You have the capability of slowing down. You have the capability of speeding up. So what we want to do in our workspace or in our maker space is we want to make sure that when we're about to do that value-added process, everything is where we need it, when we need it. And we could do it, we could start, we could stop, we could speed it up. It's right in that space. And this is the cool part, Kristen. Once I'm about to do my thing and make my creation, I don't want to have to move my butt out of this seat, or I don't want to have to move my feet. If I'm standing up, I don't want to move my feet. I want to have everything that I need, where I need it, when I need it. Does that make sense, everybody? That's the motion waste. So you don't want to be tired out after you're doing your creations, right? And that's what I mean by tools and stuff like that. You want to be, hey, what are you doing? Man, turn the music on. You ought to see the way that process is designed. Ellie's doing all kinds of movements over there, but it should be looked like this. I could have music. Hey, I'm good, right? So let's look at this last waste. Whoa, that was fast. Extra processing. So again, if you guys think about this, let's really try to understand that anytime you're doing some excess processing, excessive packaging is a great way to visualize this waste. So what I've seen, and Ellie and I've seen, Gabby, this is no joke. So I've actually seen people that they're not even hobbyists. It's what I would call a legit company. What happened was, do you all know what clamshell, Whole Foods, you get prepared foods in it. It's a clear plastic thing, but it looks like a clamshell. So you open it up and you open it up and you can get your food, your wraps, your sandwiches, your dip. Just think about that. So the food was in a clamshell and they opened it up and you could get your food. So unfortunately, I work with a cookie company that what they were doing was they had all these cookies and then they're taking a cookie out, putting it in a bag, putting it in a clamshell, taking it back, putting it, and then inside the clamshell, you would open it and then you'd have to open another bag to get the cookie.
Oh, yes, I see.
What is going on? Who asked for that? So if it's in the clamshell and you don't need to individually wrap it, if it's individually wrapped, or is it 2 per clamshell? What are we doing, everybody? So, oh my
Also
gosh.
adding to the cost of our overhead capital, overhead costs
Exactly.
by
Or
adding that bag.
exactly.
Unnecessary.
Exactly. Or, okay, so I said, anyone heard of a baker's dozen? So I think that we're going to give a baker's dozen. Uh-oh. So you gave them 13 cookies, but they're only paying for 12. What's happening? Or excess processing could be where you seal a lid and then put a safety seal on it. Do you need 2 safety seals? Do you need a safety seal and a safety tape? Like, just be thinking about those things. Like, just excess processing is anything that you're doing it, but it doesn't add any value at all. Again, so for sake of time, I was working with this farmer, and they're a wonderful farmer out in East Greenwich. And they wanted to wash and pack 230 dozen eggs per hour, which is a lot of eggs. And so I had asked, well, how many do you do now? And they said, we do 120. I said, oh, wow, we're halfway there. However, when we went to go look and investigate, they were not at 120. They were at 80. And the reason why was I was starting to look, do you pack any other eggs on this line? Well, Nathan, we sure do. We do duck. Oh, wow. Wow. But duck eggs are bigger. Duck eggs are dirty. These ducks, they lay their eggs in the mud, in the dirt. And chickens, they're a little more dainty, and they like to put them in nesting boxes. Oh, okay. All right. So now, how do you know what was duck and how you know what was chicken? And they were like, oh, you can just tell. You just tell. Duck eggs are bigger and they're dirty. Oh, what happens if there's a dirty chicken egg? Oh, don't worry about that. Okay. So they happen to have a retiree. She's Irish. And I started to ask, so how do you know? Well, I just know. I just know. Well, that's good. Well, what if, no. What do the cartons look like? What are the when you put these eggs, do the cartons look different? Actually, Nathan, the chicken eggs, yeah, they have this orange, there's like this orange label. Well, what do the duck eggs look like? Well, Nathan, they're different. In what way? Well, duck eggs are bigger. No, you told me that. You already told me that. The cartons are bigger. Oh, do they hold more eggs? No. They both hold 12 dozen. They both hold 12 eggs, which is a dozen. But the duck eggs, the spots are bigger. And actually, Nathan, the top is green. Oh, they are? That's kind of cool. Wait a minute. You're saying that you know what they're going to go into? They're orange or green. Yep. Now, who harvests these eggs? Oh, other people. We don't. Sometimes we harvest, sometimes we don't. But they just bring in the eggs and they put them in these black cartons. Has anyone ever seen a milk carton? Anyone on this call, a milk carton?
Yeah.
They're all different. Well, guess what? This farmer had blue ones, black ones, yellow ones. Yeah, people would give them cartons. Wow. So when they would harvest duck eggs or chicken eggs, they would just grab cartons they had and just put eggs in there, right? Well, I said, well, you know what's interesting? Well, why can't you just grab a bunch of black ones? Can you grab some black ones? Can you make them different? Well, that'll be hard. Well, all right. Hey, Does anyone ever have spray paint in here? Can we spray paint a bunch of blue ones, red ones, yellow ones, green? We don't care. We'll spray paint 50 of those as long as it don't matter what the color is, as long as we spray painted orange on blue, red, yellow, blah, 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 blah. We know 50 have orange spray paint on them. And we know some have green. Well, what's the difference between green and orange? Well, green's going to be duck and orange is going to be chicken. Do you all know what happened? They started to do that. And no matter what crates they had, milk crates, they determined what was the orange ones. They determined what the green ones were. And do you know what? I said, what's easier to do? The chicken ones or the duck ones? Please, let's do the chicken ones first. Because if we do the chicken ones good, we know at the end of the day, we'll have time to do the duck ones. So now everyone harvesting eggs had orange milk crates, orange spray painted. It didn't matter what the color was of the milk crate. They determined what those were. And we started to they would physically come in and everyone knew by visuality, hey, I'm about to work on some chicken stuff. And then we started to understand, well, if this many crates come in orange, that's how many of the cartons of chicken we'll need. And everyone started to do better and better and better. And we worked months and months on how to make things visual. And we got up to 230 dozen. Isn't that cool? So remembering the 8 waste, it's downtime. It's downtime, right? So, and we can remember the waste. So that helps us remember D for defects, O for overproduction, which means earlier, faster, sooner. We have waiting. We have unutilized talent, transportation, inventory, motion, and excess processing. So if we can remember the waste, we can identify them in our workspaces and in our craft, and we can start to get rid of them. So let's go through questions. And actually, let me do this. Learning to see with lean eyes in a different way. Lean is a systematic approach, and it's a way of doing things. So let's open that up for questions. Ellie, Kristen, Gabby, if you could help us, and then we'll move for the last 5 minutes for questions and how you can get a hold of us and so on and so forth.
Most of the chatter in the chat was related to what you were going over at the time, so that
Oh.
we're just people kind of throwing out examples of what they thought of as waste. So
Oh, I love that. Oh, I love that.
yeah, so for a food business, in terms of movement, right? Having a big, massive kitchen. And then you also have an area where you set the food up, and you need to think about the tablecloth and the spoons and the forks and the knives and where the chairs
Yes.
go and how to get the spices and how many napkins
Yes.
you need and how do you fold them and put the cups and the plates out. So Erman was talking about that.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah, it was a lot of chatter about what you were talking about, but I don't see a lot of questions.
Okay. No worries.
Nathan, I have a question actually. When you were
Please.
talking about oh God, now I'm forgetting what you were saying, but when you were talking about clean as you go.
Yes.
I was thinking about a restaurant because I've worked in restaurants before, and usually you wait until the end of the night. Like if there's no dishwasher, like someone whose job that is, you wait till the end of the night to wash. I'm thinking specifically of a pizza place. You wait to the end of the night to wash like all the dishes and all the things that you use. You don't clean as you go, unless there's like downtime in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
So are you saying that there should always be like someone washing dishes?
Gabby, thank you so much. So Kristen, thank you for bringing Erman's his comment to the forefront, and now I can address what Gabby said. So the bigger you get, the worse the 8 ways show up. So there will be companies, you are going to be one of them. I will not say it. However, you've probably ordered a cake or something from this company that's a Rhode Island 5th generation company and that have grown so much, you physically cannot see the next process. You used to be able to be like, oh, I see the dishwashers. Oh, I see the people who are mixing, who's baking. The bigger you get, the harder it is to be lean. So Gabby, thank you so much for what you said. And now I'm going to address it. When you clean as you go, the whole idea is that you're going to be moving from one process to the next. When you are a very large, medium to large company, you will have times where there are specific people or processes that you did your thing and someone else takes the ownership and cleans that so that you can move to the next process. However, that is inefficient and unacceptable. Now, check this out. What happens is, if I were in a very large, and this is in Rhode Island, there is a company who will mix. They have mixers, very large mixers. Once they've mixed those items, they could be gluten-free. They could have allergens. They could have something like that. It is imperative that you clean as you go. You are not allowed to have and mix whatever you have. You must do this mixing and then cleaning and then sanitizing. And now that product is on this red board because it's gluten-free. Now you are able to do this process. What Gabby was talking about is you could have a dishwasher. Now, Gabby, you're going to love this. I wish I could take it as my own. It was in corroboration or collaboration with this company. There was a place where we did decorating. We decorated cakes, which is completely different from mixing cakes. However, it was supposed to go to the dishwasher. Gabby, you're going to love this. So the decorators had very long-handled, anyone that decorates cakes and they spin it around, they had very specific carousels, very specific tools. And when they were done with their tools, they put it in this little box that had holes in it, and they were etched, or we actually even painted a way that said decorating. That's a big word. There was a candy stripe. There was something that indicated decorating. They had what I would say a person who could not speak English at the time, and they would put those tools in this, and it was the same color, and they could take it to dishwashing. Dishwashing started to get all this stuff, and Gabby, guess what? They would put in this massive commercial dishwasher. When it came out, they would hand deliver those items to decorating. So it was really cool how we started to understand how we could identify decorators' tools, mixing tools, and when they were done with them, we wanted to get them cleaned out immediately. So as you go, if that process comes back later in the day, you are now clean to go again. And you don't have a bunch of nasty stuff just laying around or in dirty areas, but you clean as you go so that it's what we call in a state of readiness. Think about a fire department. So they're at any time, they're ready to go. How did I get Gabby's fire suit on? Well, because my name should have been on that. I should have a very specific spot for my item so that I don't put on dirty or whatever. This was my outfit in the fire station, and Gabby has hers. And that's why we clean as we go. Does that make sense, Gabby?
Thank you.
Perfect. Any other comments, questions?
So Nathan, we do have from Haiti a question.
Yes.
She's asking, what was the most challenging that you have helped? So I'm
Oh.
guessing it's challenging of clients.
Oh. Yes, I know for time's sake. Okay. So it's I'll do the first one quick and then the second one. So the first one, the hardest, and who asked that question?
Haiti.
Haiti. Okay, actually, I'm gonna stop sharing. Stop so I can see. Yes. Hi, everyone. Haiti. So I would probably say the hardest customer or client is a client that isn't willing to experiment. That's probably the hardest client I've ever had was when we're working together and they don't want to try what we've all talked about. That's probably the hardest. Secondly, I would probably say one of the hardest ones was a situation where no one knew what the other person's job was. And there was so much stuff in this company that you couldn't even walk through the company. And I mean that in all sincerity. It was very difficult, Haiti. Nothing was marked, nothing was labeled, and they were all artists using equipment from the 1800s, and the 1950s. So their equipment, I don't have to tell you the industry, but it was a very, they did printing, but not ink printing, printing presses. It was very difficult. You have to have a lot of knowledge, very extreme, very, you have to be able to learn how to make inks. They have to be a very specific Pantone color. So Haiti, it was very, very difficult. So I had to have a lot of meetings with them on agreement. Do we agree what piece of equipment to start on first? Do we agree to call it this? Do we agree? This is everything we've talked about today. Do we agree to give it a color? Can we agree to come up with ways of what tools should go on this piece of equipment? And I will say, Haiti, they are my biggest fans now. And many, many years later, they have done some amazing things and created a meeting place in the same building, a photo studio, all by just addressing one product, one piece of equipment at a time. Thank you so much for that question. That was wonderful. Thank you. Any other comments, questions?
Yes, I have a question. This is
Yes,
Lachelle. Okay, Nathan. So I get overall what you're saying. Basically, you sound like one of the ex-military. You sound like one of those quality control inspector guys. I get what you're saying. You're thinking taking our business from small manufacturing at-home businesses. Your concepts are into larger manufacturing. But
okay,
my question to you is, as a sole proprietorship at the moment,
yes,
I get the bigger picture you're taking us to. Manufacturing, big deal, big time.
yes,
But at the moment, I'm thinking I'm at sole proprietorship. I'm the only one who's researching, creating, and also using many of the practices that you're already talking about, cleaning as you go. Now, my question is the research and development part. Should I be paying myself for that? I should be paying myself for that, right?
Here we go. Kristen and Gabby and Ellie, Luchella, you are on fire today, and it is awesome. So we're going to go back to all work is highly specific in its content, sequence, timing, and outcome. And
Oh, yes, I see what you're saying.
please don't put me in the military quality box. So I work with entrepreneurs, and Ellie's shaking her head, of any and all sizes. I work with companies with 1 employee up to hundreds. I mean that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
So I'm going to go right back to it. Your research time. I want to know, how much time are you researching?
Right. Yes.
Write it down.
Okay.
What are you researching? Write it down.
Yeah.
You're breaking all these components into, and now as you're scaling up, Kristen and Gabby will love this. Who in Lachella's future company is gonna be the researcher? Is it you? Does it give you a headache?
Right.
If it is you and you love it, we need to be doing more of that. So you need to figure out what you don't like in some of these processes as a sole proprietor. And we're going to look to outsource some of those, or to bring in a part-time employee, something like that, so you can do more of what you love, which is researching. And if you're researching X amount now, the bigger you get, that time cannot be less. It's actually going to be more.
Right. So when you're saying write everything down, not just the materials, not that I need this much yard. We're starting from scratch. Write down even how much time I'm spending research on this particular project. Okay, for these particular baby boats, I'm researching 4 hours a day. I'm researching this amount of colors. I'm researching these amount of textures. Write everything down to the simplest form for every step of the process. Every step of the process, write it down. Okay.
Yes, and now, Lachella, you are doing it. This is why I'm saying this. Your Monday will look different than your Tuesday, different than your Wednesday, blah, blah, blah. You're creating stability and standardization. And now check this out. No, Kristen and Gabby, you're going to love this. Lachella, if you say you're researching X amount of hours per day or per week, guess what? You're going to take your phone out. You're going to set your timer. You're going to start researching. And when it goes, did it?
Right.
Lachella, stop researching.
All right.
It's time to do the next process.
Right.
And now you're like, you could literally say, and I'm not advocating this, Lachella, thank you. Lachella, you're welcome. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sarah, I see you smiling right now. And last but not least, this is my ultimate cheater. If you guys have flip charts or like this whiteboard or what have you, this is going to be your favorite thing. So write this down. It's going to be called your personal Kanban.
Personal Kanban.
It'll look like, let me get a piece of paper. Yes. So right here. Can anyone afford Post-it or sticky notes? I'm going to raise my hands.
I'm going to raise my hand.
So.
All right. Doing.
Yes. So we're going to, any hobbyist is now going to have this in your bathroom or your bedroom. And you're going to say, there are things that I must do for my company. And you have a bunch of Post-it notes and they're to do. Different colors could mean different things.
Right.
It's so cool. Different colors mean different things. You guys come up with your system. I can't come up with your system. Come up with your own system. Different colors will mean different things for your company. Now you're going to say, I need to do blah, 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 blah. When you're working on that, take your Post-it note and move it to the middle called doing.
Mhm.
You're going to have a bunch of those with different colors because you determined what you think your business should be doing. Research, marketing, whatever. All of those could be a different color. And there is nothing like, oh, wow, today you get to move from doing into done. And you are going to love to tactically go from to do, to doing, to done.
Yeah.
And start putting your dates on them and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And we call that your personal Kanban. And it'll be great. The bigger you get as a company, you can have everyone doing their own thing, but you could have meetings and say, bring your personal Kanban to the meeting because we want to talk about it. But for now, as a sole proprietor, you start to see if you can see it. So if you can see it, you can improve it. If you can't weigh it, measure it, or time it, you can't improve it. So that I just want to share that and leave that. It's not on our slide. We call it a personal Kanban: to do, doing, and done.
Yeah.
So
Thank you, Nathan. Thank you.
oh, I apologize. You're welcome. Magdalena, K-A-N-B-A-N. K-A-N. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Gabby. Kanban. And you can look all this stuff up. 5S, Kanban, whatever. Does anyone have any questions now? This has been fun.
So, thank you, Nathan. Thank you.
So, Kristen, Gabby, if you could just share with them the slide. And again, we want to thank you. Actually, we want to thank our host, Kristen and Gabby, and the Secretary of State's office for the chance to talk to you this morning. This was terrific. And thanks to all who participated today. And remember, a bad process will beat a good person every time. And remember, the faintest ink is better than the sharpest memory. Thank you all. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, Nathan. No more bad processes in our lives. We're done with that now. We're all fixed. Thank you, everyone, so much. Really appreciate you spending this Saturday morning with us. Thank you very much to Nathan and Ellie for this presentation. We really, really appreciate it. It was great information. Just as a reminder, we will be sharing the recording and the slides with you. So sometime, mid next week or so, you should expect to receive that by email. But in the meantime, please feel free to reach out to us, reach out to Polaris MEP if you would like to speak to them about their services. And we thank you all. Have a great weekend and best of luck in your entrepreneurial journey. I know you're all going to have the best processes around now. Take care, everybody.